Consistency is the most powerful tool for achieving anything in life. No motivation, no talent, just showing up every single day. 4 years ago, I committed to daily yoga practice, and it has completely transformed my life. Not just physically, but also mentally. And once I understood how powerful consistency can be, I started applying it in other areas of my life. Learning new skills, mastering disciplines, and getting real results. But let me tell you, this didn't happen overnight. Just like all great things, it started with a lot of failures, especially in establishing consistency. Staying consistent isn't just about willpower. It's also about overcoming those mental traps that make us want to quit too soon. In this video, I want to share 5 common mindset pitfalls that might be preventing you from staying consistent and how to overcome them. These are lessons I learned the hard way, and it took me a while to realize them. But now I want to help you save time and help you build a strong, lasting practice in whatever you want to achieve. Whether you're just starting off or already have an established routine, these are the challenges we all face, so let's get into it. The first pitfall that I personally have encountered, and I think a lot of people stumble over it, especially in the beginning of their practice, and it is setting the wrong goal. I started a lot of things basing on what I consider cool. Formulating a goal like that never has worked for me, and it is because it's too distant. It's just not personal enough. My handstand practice, my pull-up practice, my French learning journey, I had this picture of someone else's success in mind, and that is somewhat of a distant goal. It never was a personal reason for me. For example, with my pull-up practice, I started several times. I looked at those strong muscle mummies online and admired them for being able to do pull-up, and I thought to myself, I want to be cool like that. And that was not a good motivation. I would try to practice for a few days, couple of weeks maybe, but at the end of the day, it's just not something I really wanted. And only once I've realized that I want to experience that with my body, what it's like to pull my whole body weight up, how that would feel, that's when it became something more personal to me. And the same thing with French. I had this idea of being cool and sexy, speaking French. Bought this course, I started learning. 2 weeks gone by and I'm done. I have not continued. Only when I started understanding how cool that would be to enjoy French, how fun it would be to just listen to French audiobooks, I really started to see this goal as something that is personal to me. Admiring someone for doing something and putting it as a goal, as an example, is one thing, but understanding that this is something that you want for yourself, that this is something you want to experience, is totally different. Something that I have personally started applying in my goal achievement, not just this picture of what I want, but that experience that I want to live. It's definitely a good idea to revisit your goals and maybe see how you view them. You can use your journal or your notes app. That's something that I like to do every few months just to keep myself aligned. I think we all agree it is important to understand what you want and set the goal for yourself, but it is also equally important to detach from that goal. It is kind of counterintuitive to tell yourself to forget about the goal, but once I started applying that mindset, that has been a game changer. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the levels of your system. And that quote by James Clear is truly something I live by, because once you know what you want, it's all about the process. It's all about setting up the system, and instead of putting your focus towards the goal all the time, which can be quite demotivating, in my experience, it has been really important to just put your head down and come to it every day. Remember that this is the process you're committing to, not the goal, because the goal is the process, and succumbing to that daily grind is what's gonna move the needle forward. That's honestly why it hasn't worked out for me with a lot of my beginnings. When I wanted to do handstands, I just wanted to do a handstand because it's cool, but when I would practice it, I couldn't do it, and that was just not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do a handstand. You practicing for the goal directly means failing at that goal over and over again. In a way, you have to really switch up your mindset. It is not the mountain we conquer, but ourselves. Another reason why I failed countless times, and that might be a big one for you, your system might not be sustainable. Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there's no path and leave a trail. And that means really customizing it and figuring it out as you go. Instead of just setting this rigid standard for what your practice should look like, what time it should be at, that rigidity in my practice and that kind of ideal that I try to strive for every time has actually fully destroyed my consistency because of those expectations of what my practice should look like. What was the best thing about doing yoga every day is because it could look different every day. I could give it an hour, 2 or 3 a day, or I could give it 10 minutes stretch on the bed a day. And that has made it so sustainable for me. And same for my language practice. I could give it a few hours a day, or I could just do 5 minutes on Duolingo. And it is important to be sort of a slave to your practice, but it also is your life and it has to fit into it. I love the saying about yoga: we do not live to do yoga, we do yoga to live. So don't forget that about whatever you're practicing with. That is something that I did not realize at first. Another pitfall that is just unavoidable, but you can watch out for it in the front of your mind. And it is performance-based judgment. That is something that can be extremely demotivating and can not just destroy your consistency, but also completely deprive you of pleasure in whatever you're practicing. You should be far more concerned with your current trajectory than with your current results. Being consistent with something can be very humbling. It can get you on all kinds of days and uncover all kinds of weak spots. With consistency, you will be judging yourself and get impatient. That is just part of the process. Whenever I do handstands, sometimes I hold so many handstands, an amazing day, and I feel so strong and powerful, and sometimes there's none. If I put so much pressure on each day and judge it, have so many expectations of what the ideal day looks like, that's just gonna deprive me of the pleasure, and I have done that. It's not fun. It's just making me miserable. Every time I'm coming back to my practice, I try to let go of expectations and just be there. And that is something that actually helped me to stay consistent. This summer, I stopped doing Chinese for 1 month because of those expectations and my judgment. I was so disappointed that I stopped for an entire month. And after some realignment, I came back with a little bit more of a humble attitude, and now I just keep my head down, work out the little things, and become part of the process even more. And managing your expectations is not something you do once. That is something that comes with consistency. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. All or nothing mindset is something I had to root out from my habit of thinking. Perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. The reason why I could not stay consistent for so long with so many things is because I could not tune in into the subtleties of consistency and how ever-changing it could be. Whenever there was some sort of nuance, some sort of slowing of the process, I would just quit. That is not powerful enough. Consistency is very quiet and frankly slow. Slow is very subjective. We are living in a very fast time of fast TikTok transformations and results. You don't see the daily, the very slow parts. The very, very unedited slow parts. And that is how consistency is. It's slow, it's quiet, it's not as exciting as it might seem. If my younger self, maybe from 2 years ago, would look at my practice right now, I think she would be a little bit disappointed because I'm still doing the things that she did and not even that much better. I assume she would want to see bigger transformation, even more results. My practice is stronger in a different way. There's much more subtle things that you cannot really perceive just by looking at what I can do physically. Now that I have been practicing several things for several years daily, it really shows how I have to just go through with it. Even if it feels like my practice, it's not happening, even if I took a break, even if I fail to do it on some days, it doesn't mean it's the end. It doesn't mean I am a failure. It just means we are picking up where we left off. Maybe you're not as consistent at first, but you do keep coming back to it, even if it's not the consistency that you want, better than doing nothing. I used to have this all or nothing mindset. If I would skip, if I would stop for a little bit, I would just quit this habit and this consistency journey all together. And now I've learned coming back is what matters, even if it's not as consistent and perfect on a paper as you want it to be. Having that open mind and kind approach to yourself, and life will happen. And your dedication to consistency shows how you overcome those times. How do you come back to that consistency after you've been knocked off your feet? So if you are thinking you have to be perfect with your consistency journey, or it's not consistency journey at all, that is the mindset that could really hold you back in seeing how beautiful this journey could be. Do not be embarrassed by your failures, learn from them and start again. Now I really see that consistency requires finding compromises, picking up where you left off, and establishing presence in your routine. That consistency journey enriches my life daily and teaches me so much. So hopefully the things that I've shared will help you to establish a strong and lasting practice in whatever you want to achieve. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. I would love to hear your thoughts about it, and if you want to see anything specific on this channel, thank you so much, and I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.